Hello, my friends. Welcome to this episode number 12 of Spiritual Science. On this episode, I have something really interesting to share with all of you. I'm talking about, the most important celebrations of our mankind. And these celebrations hold us time. Of course, the name changed from civilization for time to time, religion to religion, but the essence is always the same. So today I'll give you the foundations to understand what will happen on December 31st. And on December 30th, I will upload a special episode with a meditation suggested to be practiced on the last day of the year. This is a very important meditation, not only for our spiritual growth, but for the entire planet. So I suggest you to watch all this video to understand why December 21st is so important. And to invite you for the meditation, I will upload. You can practice any moment of the last day of the year, but the meditation will be valid only for the last day of the year. So find a moment you can be with yourself together in a quiet place to practice this meditation. So here we go talking about this special chapter called the Spiritual Celebrations of Mankind. Three celebrations, very important, that define mankind. These celebrations have existed throughout history and beyond history, always under the sign of Capricorn. They transcend time, religion, cultures. They are part of humanity's original tradition. The three celebrations celebrates virtues that make us human beings. The three virtues are called charity, and it's represented by a hand offering a chalice. The virtue of hope is represented by an anchor, and the virtue of faith represented by the cross. And here I'm telling you, the symbol of the cross is not only valid for the Christian people. This symbol was well known millenniums before Christ, and always representing the idea that we are spirits manifested on flesh. So a cross with 4 arms indicates the 4 elements that receives our spirit to live this experience on this amazing journey we call life. And here I'm sharing you the symbols used to relate to those 3 virtues, because the language of symbols is very important for people who was in a spiritual journey. If you want to know more about the language of symbols, I invite you to go to chapter number 10, where I begin to share the importance of the symbols. On chapter number 7, and in the previous chapter, chapter number 11, I already mentioned about the journey of human spirit from our home in a region we call the Sea of Dhruva, or the region recognized astronomically like the region of the star called Vega. You know, that place was our home, original home. And the reason we are exiled and sent to this area of the galaxy called Zodiac. So when we are sent to this area, metaphorically, we arrive through this astrological sign of Sagittarius. And it's a very powerful representation. Sagittarius is represented by a centaur, half man, half horse. And exactly what's happened for us here, we spirits are trapped in an animal body. So this is all, that's the reason the language of symbols is so important. So metaphorically, we arrive in this region of the universe through the astrological signs of Sagittarius. So when you begin to adjust, to adapt to this new experience, we had to face to the angel the next sign. And the sign of Capricorn represents the beginning of the winter. And you know, the winter is really challenging. We need to adapt. We need to learn how to use all the possibilities to survive. So this is the message of the Capricorn. The Capricorn rules in the northern hemisphere, the most inhospitable period of the year, the winter, that's cold, that is dark. And Capricorn's lesson is to learn to use all available resources, not only to survive, but also to thrive. After our arrival at the Zodiac school, we had to learn to survive and face trials with high spirit and focus in ourselves. Focus and trust in ourselves. For this is the virtues. For this, the virtues of faith, hope, and charity were so essential. You know, for people who live in the South Hemisphere, we don't have the same perception, because in the South Hemisphere is the beginning of summer. But in the metaphorical journey, in the language of symbols, we need to consider the experience according to the North Hemisphere, because 90% of Earth's population lives on the North Hemisphere. So it caused a kind of foundation, spiritual foundation, the experience lived according to the perception from the North Hemisphere. I'm not disqualifying, the South Hemisphere, but in our spiritual journey, we need to see things in a unified way. And so the way to perceive, unify, not separate North and South Hemisphere, but a unity we call experience on Earth, we need to consider the area where almost all the population of the planet had their experience. So the first of the virtues is called faith. All religions insist that we must develop absolute faith in the Creator. But in spiritual science, the teachings are a little bit different. First, we need to trust, first we need to develop faith in ourselves. For in addition, to begin always to connect to the Creator's consciousness. We have in our body the real temple of the divine. So that's the reason the sacred architecture used the measures of a human body to build the temples, the cathedrals, because, you know, those temples, those cathedrals or churches, they are just symbolic representations of the human body. The real temple of the divine is each one of us. So that's the reason it's so important to develop this virtue called faith. First, faith in ourselves. Trust ourselves. And the celebration takes place on December 25th. So what you know about this specific date, December 25th? Since the Stone Age, this period of the year is considered the birth of the sun. Why? You know, December 21st, we have the solstice, the winter solstice. It represents the longest night. So 4 days later, people realize, even without sophisticated equipment, that the night is not growing. You know that, you know, the day is still short, but the night stopped growing. So that's an important reason to celebrate. Because, you know, in the ancient times, people was afraid that the night keep growing, there's no more daylight. Because light represents life. So this is an important reason to celebrate, you know, the darkness that was growing since the end of summer, keep growing until the solstice, when you have the longest night. But, you know, 4 days later, people realized, oh, the night's not growing anymore. So let's celebrate. In the northern Europe, this celebration was called Yule. And for the Romans, Natalis Solis Invictus. We translate this like the birth of the invincible sun. In Near East, it was celebrate the birth of Mithra. In Egypt, it was the birth of Horus, the sun god. The celebration of faith according to the Christian tradition. In a work to spread Christian religion in the Roman world, the church adopted the day of December 25th as the birth of Jesus, although historically it was not possible that it had occurred on the beginning of the winter. So if you research, you'll find that possibly the real birth of Jesus happens on April, end of March, or maybe April. But you know, here we have very important esoteric symbolism that says that it is when we, each one of us, recognize that the Christ lives in our hearts. It means the birth of our individual inner Christ, or a recognition of the divine dwelling in our heart. So this is the real meaning of the celebration we call Christmas, according to spiritual science, of course. It's not a disrespect for any religion, just I'm bringing a different perspective. The second celebration on this time of the year is a celebration of hope, and it happens on December 31st. This celebration takes place on the last day of the year. This date indicates, well, this date was dedicated to the god called Janus. You know, Janus is a Roman god with two faces. One face is looking to the future, and the other face is looking to the past. And Janus was the protector of the cities. That's the reason many times Janus was represented with a key, the key of the city walls. And it was protector of the harbors. So protector of the place people used to come and go. And represent this transition from the old year to the new year. And thanks to the globalization of the world, the entire planet celebrates December 31st. We can see fireworks everywhere, people celebrating, a lot of lights, even for those traditions and cultures that celebrates the new year in a different times of the year. But you know, people are very thrilled to see, you know, all that movement, lights. And it creates a unification in this human spirit. And what happens when you have this transition from one year to another? You know, in moments of transition, it's innate. The human being produces energy, a vibration we call hope. When you are on a threshold of the new, we always expect the best. So hope is a very democratic feeling because everybody usually feel this feeling when we are dealing with the new. So when you have something new, we expect the best. So when we are on the threshold of a new year, we expect that next year will be better. The next year will be healthy, and all good things will happen next year. So that's the reason this feeling, this energy you produce in moments of transitions is considered the highest, the most elevated spiritual vibration the human being can produce. And everybody can produce. We can be rich or poor, young or senior, man, women, everybody equally produce this feeling, this expectation for the best. And this creates a energetic frequency that expands and invite other people to produce the same vibration. And when certain number of people vibrates the same energy, it creates reality. So we are working with the production of this energy called hope to manifest a better cycle, a better experience. So this is why we have this celebration on December 31st, the birth of hope. On this date, it is already noticeable that the days are beginning to get longer. So I'm talking about in the ancient times where the human being had no modern equipments to measure time, measure the days, but you can perceive, after 10 days, 10 days after the solstice, 10 days after the longest night, we can realize that the days are becoming bigger, longer, and the nights are reducing their time. So now the feeling of hope begins to grow, expecting that the hardships of winter will end. So the flame of hope that the best happens begins to expand on December 31st. And the third celebration we call the Feast of Charity. It happens on January 6th. On the night from 6 to 7 of January is when the Yule festivities ends. Yule begins on the solstice and ends on January 7th, on the morning of January 7th. On this date, in the ancient times, when people are certain that the nights are getting smaller and smaller, and it was a guarantee that the winter will end, that's the time where families took an inventory of food and reserves they have, and they feel comfortable, they feel secure to share the surplus with less fortunate. This practice turned into a gift exchanging party. So originally, the day where people used to give and receive gifts was January 6th. Today, due to the economy and, media and all the modern issues, they put all together on December 25th. But originally, the day people used to give and receive gifts was January the 6th. And according to the Christian tradition, this celebration happens on the day the three wise men meet Jesus and gave Jesus gifts like incense, gold, and myrrh. Now, talking about those three celebrations according to the perspective of spiritual science, we have three different dimensions that we celebrate. The three festivals reflect the fundamental dimensions of human manifestation here on earth. So the celebration of faith is the celebration of the spirit. Hope is a celebration of our mind, and charity is a celebration of our body. Now, specifically talking about the celebration of hope. This is a very important celebration for people who are in a spiritual journey, a spirit to know ourselves better. We realize the importance of this date, December 31st, because this is the date where the whole mankind produce on their hearts the green vibration of hope. And it happens only December 31st on this level of expression, because the entire planet, each human being are producing this energy, consciously or unconsciously. So December 31st is an important day for group meditations. Since the first episode, I keep repeating that the spiritual journey is individual. We don't follow this journey in groups. But some moments, this is important. December 31st is one of these moments. And so on this date is a great date for human being. Sometimes save half an hour to meditate. And if a group of people meditates on this day, the power of this meditation will be multiply and multiply. And on this date, the only thing we need to do in our meditations is to connect to our energy of hope, expand this energy of hope, and use our imagination to make a kind of harvest of the hope produced all over the planet, transforming all this energy we call hope in a beautiful and huge bouquet of light. Why? Why you have this work to harvest the energy of hope? Well, because the most developed spirits in our mankind, they know that the first week of the year is very important to develop a plan that will guide the entire mankind during the entire year. So the most elevated spirits, the ascended masters, all the souls, all the spirits who are really dedicated to a spiritual journey, they know the importance of the first week of the year. Because far from here, in the region of the star Sirius A, I mentioned this on the episode 11. So on this area of our galaxy, called the area of the star Sirius, we have the star Sirius is a double star, Sirius A and B. On the region of Sirius A, very developed spirits, very elevated spirits and consciousness are there as guardians of human beings. They are watching us to help us. They are inspiring us to fulfill our journey, spiritual journey on this area, and find a way to return back home, our spiritual home. So these guides of mankind, these elevated spirits who lives on the air of Sirius A, they dedicate this week from December 31st to January 6th to have a great meeting to discuss about the future of mankind, to evaluate what happens in the last year, to identify the steps we did as mankind in our spiritual journey, and to inspire ourselves, to inspire the entire humanity, to keep going on this journey of growth and development. So on December 31st, all our spiritual guides, all our masters are invited to go in a spiritual journey to Sirius A to participate of this meeting dedicated to our mankind. And they take this bouquet of light, bouquet of hope, as a symbol of all good things human beings produce here on earth. And there they participate with our guides, spiritual guides, to develop ideas to help mankind to keep growing in the path of evolution. And finally, on January 6th, at the night of January 6th to January 7th, our spiritual guides and masters return back home, bringing a mighty gift, the blessings and guidance that will lead the destiny of mankind for the whole new year. So this is huge. I'm personally participate of this meditation for about 55 years. People who teach me, my guides and teachers, they show me the importance of this meditation. And after them, I continue spreading their teachings and teaching this meditation and inviting people to be part of this powerful work. And I'm guiding this kind of meditation for the last 40 years. Every December 31st, I save some time to do this. And so this year, on December 30th, I'll upload in my YouTube channel the meditation for the last day of the year. I'll upload in English, in Spanish, and in Portuguese. So take a look at my YouTube channel called Carlos Guterres, and you'll find in your language the meditation so you can practice together with friends. But the important thing to know is this meditation is valid only for December 31st. That's the reason I will upload on December 30th and I will remove from the channel on January 1st because it will not work any other day of the year. And I strongly recommend, this is really worthwhile to practice. So this is the message for this episode. I thank you so much for following me until the end of the episode. So if you like this, don't forget to give a like. And if you're interested to other videos, you can subscribe the channel. Thank you so much and see you on December 31st. Bye.